I'm new to clicky things, excuse me.
I heard every word. I still don't understand. Now.
There is no Renaissance without art, and there is no crypto-Renaissance without art. Clicky things.
1 second, sorry, technical difficulties.
All right, where's our text? We have the opportunity right now to take the enormous resources, research, and knowledge being created within crypto space to shape the world we want to live in. Do we want to be the authors of a new Renaissance, or those that oversee our descent into another dark ages? This moment is not only an opportunity, but also a serious responsibility. First, let us tell you a little bit about ourselves. After curating my first exhibition, age 11, in my bedroom from pages torn out of art history textbooks, I have spent the last 15 years as a critic and curator in the visual arts. I've written for international and national publications, from Art Forum to Rolling Stone to the LA Weekly, and I've been published on 6 continents in about 36 languages. As a curator, I've organized exhibitions at the Museum of Contemporary Art in LA, the Palais de Tokyo in Paris, and just recently the Pavilion of Estonia at the Venice Biennale. I've won some awards, including the Andy Warhol Creative Capital Grant in art writing. And on a more personal background, I grew up in a strict religious upbringing, and art has always been a secret sanctuary, one of freedom and eventually community. A huge part of my modus as a human is to nurture and maintain this space and its freedom for others.
Hi, my name is Inga Bard. I'm an artist, a nonprofit founder, and currently the art director of MobileCoin.
Oh, your mic ain't working, girl.
Hi, everybody. My name is Inga Bard. I'm an artist, a nonprofit founder, and currently the art director at MobileCoin. I was born in Ukraine and moved to the States with my family when I was 10 years old as political refugees. In my 20s, I trained and taught Renaissance painting in Florence, Italy. When I was there, I used to busk on the streets of Florence, drawing the old masters in chalk to pay for tuition. And after that, I did my MFA in London, and since then have exhibited widely. Since settling in San Francisco 7 years ago, I found 3 nonprofit projects, all designed to support artists in San Francisco Bay Area. The most recent project was called Paint the Void, and it was founded during the pandemic, in the beginning of the pandemic, to create economic opportunity for artists while beautifying San Francisco at a time where we're... Thank you. At a time when we really needed it.
We both grew up in odd places, neither of us having privacy in one form or another. And not having privacy in these microcosms drove us each as individuals to find space in society where we could both feel free to be ourselves and have the unharassed freedom in which to develop our voices, our spirit, and our community. We fought for our space in this world, but we don't want our stories to be an exceptional breakthrough. We want everyone to be able to find their spirits without the subtle and insidious shaping that corporations and governments can do to warp our lives, one way or another. I think about privacy like air. You don't really value it until it's gone. We feel the air leaking out of the room right now, maybe even more than leaking. Incredible people are pulling the alarm, but we want to expand and amplify this in the wild, heartbreaking freedom and creativity of art. The essence, the incubator, the soul of our civilization.
We're really excited about MobileCoin because we've seen so many ways that it can and already has helped to create meaning and value in the world. The three ethical pillars under which Andrew and I stand in the MobileCoin art department are sustainability, digital privacy, and the arts. As a carbon-negative cryptocurrency, we can sleep at night knowing that we're not burning down the planet to trade tokens. In art, we see an opportunity where we can support artists and really contribute to public discourse at the same time. If we want a future where digital privacy exists in a sustainable way, we think that art is fundamentally one of the ways to get us there. When MobileCoin launched this summer, we began to look seriously at what's happening in art and cultural discourse around the topic of privacy and how MobileCoin can amplify this conversation. Our department is only 3 months old, and we do want to take the time to develop our programming that moves smartly and deliberately around supporting the issues of privacy in the arts. Our internal conversations and what we've seen already out there have taught us a lot. For the most part, that privacy is an incredibly nuanced topic, and there's certainly not a lot of conversation about it. Definitely not enough.
To get a better idea truly about what, if anything, artists are thinking about privacy, we had to go into the trenches. And one of the deepest trenches around happens every December in Miami. So we set out to go into the belly of that beast, the sun-stroked heart of artistic commerce, to award the inaugural MobileCoin Art Prize during Miami Art Week, 1 week ago. Centered around the commercial art fair, Art Basel, it is the largest, weirdest, wildest, most exclusive circus for contemporary visual art in the world. That happens every December, pandemics permitting. From a half-dozen art fairs to gobs of private collections and public museums, along with the numerous performances, events, and of course parties, Miami Art Week is a centerpiece of the calendar for the visual arts world.
We wanted to begin an active relationship to the art world, and we decided to offer the first prize of its kind during Miami Art Week, the MobileCoin Art Prize for art that is centered around privacy, sponsored by a cryptocurrency. Since MobileCoin is cutting edge, we wanted to ally with a cutting edge partner, and so we chose to reach out to NADA Art Fair, which stands for New Art Dealers Alliance. It is the oldest fair in the ecology of Miami Art Week, and it is devoted to cultivating new art dealers and emerging artists. Partnering with NADA, we offered a prize to artists working around the issues of privacy. While a prize is definitely encouraging for artists, we also wanted to use this prize as a measure for ourselves of what's out there.
And we discovered many things, like this guy, which we couldn't have expected. But also, as we did expect, unfortunately, is that too few artists, dealers, curators are talking about privacy. But the artists we did discover in that hot mix of talent at NADA and around Miami at large taught us important new things that gave us a deeper understanding and emphasized what's really at stake here.
Though we went into Miami thinking of MobileCoin Art Prize as a single award, we ultimately decided to give the prize to 3 different artists and projects because we saw that each dealt with privacy in a way that we felt was important to highlight and encourage. One of the most compelling gallery booths at NADA was Empajada from Puerto Rico, which featured a diverse group of artists from the Caribbean and Latin America, as well as Latinx voices at the forefront of contemporary discourse. Inspired by the recent billionaire space race, the presentation of their booth was an immersive and transformative installation, organized like a spaceship floating in a constellation of cosmic art. In this galactic array, we found one artist in particular that felt like an absolute comet. Their name was Gabriel Torres Ferrer.
This is from a recent curatorial statement about their work, and it's kind of a mouthful, so we put it up here so you guys could read it along with me. Surrounded by the foggy layers of the digital cloud, Gabriela Torres Ferrer makes it possible to experience with the senses how surveillance companies such as Google and Facebook under the pretext of ethics, responsibility, and architectures of free choice, convert bodies in order to make profit. Their work at NADA was a part of a larger series called Mind Your Own Business. It consists of flat-screen light boxes and a number of found objects with microcomputers. They show and mine information about personal and behavioral data, targeted advertising, or virtual currencies, through which companies exert considerable social and political influence and thus endanger the project of liberalism and our individual sovereignty. At the same time, the work is an ironic commentary on the wave of speculative crypto companies that settled in the tax haven of Puerto Rico after the devastation of Hurricane Maria in 2017.
This work was exactly what we were hoping to find, actually. It is an artistic commentary on the dystopian future present of all of our communication, thoughts, being mined for profit by corporations, politicians, and whoever wants to buy our most private data for pennies, really. In response to Gabriella's criticism of cryptocurrencies, I'm actually really proud to be a part of MobileCoin, for being a coin that actually adds value to the world through both our technology and our strong moral compass.
So we wanted to talk about a few of the artists as well that we found, of the three that we found, Gabriella, and then in the artist book publisher section of the fair, the launch of the digital library of afila.si titled Black Experience Isn't a Spectacle encourages its audience to engage with Afrocentric knowledge productions rather than through the voyeuristic gaze. On this open platform, artworks are paired with curated libraries that allow the viewers to engage with the theoretical core of the projects. The library is an exploration of complex themes, such as how the fetishization of Black bodies so often removes the private dignity of individuals, and how Black artists can powerfully reclaim that experience. The third artist we saw that dazzled us was Afghan-Canadian artist Hangama Amiri. I feel like Afghanistan is coming up today. Both in the thread of her story and how it emphasizes the importance of privacy under repressive regimes. Hangama Amiri was born in Kabul, Afghanistan. She and her family became refugees when she was 6, leaving because of the Taliban in 1996. Over the next few years, they lived in Pakistan, Iran, and Tajikistan. As a high school student in Tajikistan, Amiri submitted an early painting titled Twin Buddhas to a competition held by the UN Refugee Agency, UNHCR, winning a first prize. The painting dealt with the reconstruction of the Buddhas of Bamyan, which were destroyed by the Taliban in March 2001. The prize enabled Amiri to attend Alamov College of Art in Dushanbe, where she received a BA in 2005.
That same year, her family settled in Nova Scotia, Canada, where Amiri attended the Nova Scotia College of Art and Design and graduated in 2012 with a Bachelor in Fine Art degree. And just recently, Hangama Amiri graduated from the MFA Yale School of Arts in 2020. As an artist, Amiri created large-scale textile paintings from silk, muslin, satin, and chiffon, as well as other materials that reminded her of Afghanistan, Pakistan, and Central Asia. For Amiri, fabric has both an intimate and a political touch.
In her pictorial quilts depicting the domestic lives of women in Afghanistan under the Taliban, Amiri reveals how important private spaces become when citizens lose their public rights and freedoms of expression. Such gatherings of women in mutual support, often unveiled, reveals how private space is fundamental outside of the punishing rules and surveillance of governments that oppress their citizens. We're excited about the artists we found and what they taught us. We found this work meaningful because it echoes one of the many reasons MobileCoin is building our technology, so that individuals in strict societies could have financial privacy. It emphasizes the importance of private spaces and places where people cannot express themselves freely in public due to oppressive regimes, such as the Taliban, In these places, living rooms, bedrooms, and kitchens are the only spaces left for people to express themselves freely.
All in all, we went to Miami to see what kind of art and conversation exists about digital privacy in popular culture, and discovered that there's really not much, which is kind of shocking considering how much time we spend on our devices. The fact that we're trading away our personal data and allowing corporations to shape our desires, hopes, dreams, and values simply for the price of convenience is kind of astounding. And the fact that there's not a lot of conversation about it in the arts is kind of astounding too. After our dear friend Frances Haugen's testimony, we were expecting to see a ton of buzz around privacy in the arts. After all, the artist is so often at the frontier of cultural movements. But there really wasn't a lot in Miami. And so we realized that I guess it's up to us to support artists to ignite this conversation. Because if we really care about this topic, we must amplify it in culture.
Art has always been a sanctuary for those who need safety and privacy. From queer artists always finding solace and community in the arts, to female artists hiding under false names. As Virginia Woolf wrote in her influential essay on the rights of women artists, A Room of One's Own, indeed, I would venture to guess that Anonymous, who wrote so many poems without signing them, was often a woman. We need privacy to be free, to create, and when oppressed, it becomes ever more important when the contents of our sketchbooks or the audacity that we have even to fill them can get us killed. The privacy to gather, to speak freely without being tracked is the birthplace of liberation.
We at MobileCoin believe in art's capacity to change lives, but also its fundamental importance to the epochal shift happening in the world. Looking out, we're making decisions on how we could best amplify the future of society and culture. And we want everyone, but especially artists, to be thinking about privacy in our increasingly digital lives.
As we are developing the art department at MobileCoin, this is the manifesto we've drafted. Privacy is fundamental to art because the right to privacy is the right to solace, to reflection, to expression. It is the right to association and movement without intrusion or intimidation. Privacy is essential to the autonomy and dignity required to make art and participate in the cultural life of a free society. MobileCoin's commitment to privacy and sustainability in our transactions is also a commitment to artists. With an emphasis on art relating to privacy, MobileCoin is committed to giving artists of all stripes the space and time, platforms and amplification essential to artistic freedom.
Thank you, MobileCoin, for supporting the arts through the MobileCoin Art Prize, which we just discussed, the Private Practice Art Residency, which we're launching at the beginning of next year, and MobileCoin Radio, as well as supporting various art nonprofit organizations with funding. In addition to the MobileCoin Art Prize and the Private Practice Residency, MobileCoin Radio has been paying musicians every week for performances since the beginning of the pandemic. Art doesn't just help to drive culture, it is culture. And we are proud to stand by MobileCoin's deep commitment to amplifying the conversation around privacy while supporting artists. Thank you so much.